Boldwood presents The Faking Game, written by Portia MacIntosh and read by Cara and Cass. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Boldwood. Chapter 1. How lucky am I having all these grandkids when some poor people don't have any? My eyes roll so far into the back of my head, they actually end up back where they started, before anyone else has a chance to notice. My Auntie Mary says this all the time, and if you don't overthink it, it sounds like a lovely remark on how she has 2 grandsons and another on the way. But this is my Auntie Mary, a relative so villainous there's no money Disney wouldn't pay for the rights to her, and when she says these words, she fires them like bullets, her gun usually aimed squarely at my mum. I know, aren't you lucky? My mum replies genuinely. My gaze darts around the village hall until I finally focus on my younger brother Oliver, only to find him staring right back at me, his eyes wide with horror. We've always had that knack siblings often have for being able to have entire conversations in split seconds with nothing but a look. Oliver is 26 and in the middle of a PhD, so I don't think anyone expects him to be starting a family just yet. But then there's me, a 32-year-old, a whopping 1 year older than my cousin Flora, who is expecting her 3rd child, who is so very clearly the real target in Auntie Mary's crosshair when she starts banging on like this. But if my mum isn't going to rise to it, then neither am I. I sip my drink and look around the room, admiring all the blue balloons, imagining tying a bunch of them to my body like I'm the house from Up, so I can rise above all this shit. I hear South America is lovely this time of year. 3 boys, my mum says with a smile and a joyful sigh. Flora is going to have her hands full. It's doable if you coordinate it right, I joke, mostly for my brother's amusement. My mum just about stifles a grin, but Auntie Mary tuts. They're so different, not like sisters at all, to the point where I wonder if they might not even be related. Mary is a year or so older than Annie, my mum. When I'm trying to work out why my mum turned out warm, friendly and loving like my grandparents, I mentally float the idea that perhaps Gran and Grandad, I don't know, thought they couldn't have kids, so they adopted my auntie but then fell pregnant with my mum soon after. To be honest, I think I just like the idea that I'm not genetically tied to her in any way. And Auntie Mary, with her knack for injecting unnecessary discomfort into conversations, is a real joy at parties. Flora is a fantastic mum, Mary insists. Not that anyone implied she wasn't. Right on cue, Flora hurries over with her youngest, baby Sal, held high above her enormous bump, and her other little boy, Vince, toddling along with her, holding her hand. Sal is about to turn 1, Vince is 2, and for some reason, she's going for some kind of New York Italian mafia boss theme when it comes to naming them. I wouldn't be surprised if her newest recruit was a Carlo or a Fredo or a Don Vito Corleone himself. I know, it seems like I'm making fun of them, but trust me, it's the only way to get through family events like this. Just smile, make your silly little jokes in your head, and remind yourself that if friends are the family you choose, then family are the friends you don't choose, and there's not much you can do about that. Mum, can you take Sal? I need to take Vince to the toilet, Flora says. Of course, Mary replies. Come here, my little soldier. Where is Tommy? He's playing pool in the next room, Flora tells her. Ah, Tommy. Good old Tommy, Flora's husband, a man who very much believes in gender norms, where men are men and women are women. The men drink and play sports, the women look after the kids. He's very much the same, whenever we go to their house, sitting in his chair, reminding himself that he's the man of the house, while her indoors cooks and cleans and raises his kids. Honestly, if I had to live with a man like that, I would be in prison by now. Are you guys having a nice time? Flora pauses to ask us. Yes, lovely, my mum replies. You've done such a good job with the decorations. We're in the village hall, which Flora and Tommy have hired out for the occasion. The hall has been transformed with decorations in celebration of Flora's baby boy, who I think is due in a couple of months, so February or March. From the moment you step inside, a wave of blue hues washes over you. Cobalt streamers cascade down from the ceiling, crisscrossing the room, forming a captivating canopy that lowers the height of the room significantly. Balloons in various shades, from baby blue to navy, occupy every other available space. You've got the entertainment sorted, right, Cara? Flora checks, asking me in a way that suggests there is a strong chance I may have let her down. Of course I have, I reply. Oliver and I sorted it together. Millsy is picking it up on his way here. She replies, her eyes widening. I told you no one was to be late today. Well, he is coming here from LA, Mum politely reminds her. He's coming back a day early just for this. And don't I know it, because we had to eat the cost of his non-refundable, non-amendable ticket so that he could be here. Joe won't forget, will he? Mary chimes in, also sounding like she strongly suspects he will. Joe Mills, my boyfriend, has always gone by the name Millsy. You know what lads are like. They get a nickname when they're younger, either a twist on their surname or something completely random, and it stays with them forever. Of course, in his professional life, he's Joe, but to me, to his family, to his friends, he is Millsy. Not to Mary and Flora, though, who insist on calling him by his Christian name. Mary even trialled calling him Joseph to make things extra formal until I repeatedly pointed out that the name on his birth certificate is in fact Joe and not Joseph. He won't forget, I say simply. Flora practically drags Vince to the loos while Mary makes her excuses and wanders off with baby Sal. Now it's just me, Mum and Oliver. Where is Dad hiding? Oliver asks. If it weren't December, I would say outside, Mum replies. He'll be hiding in a corner or watching the boys play pool. Go see if he needs rescuing. Oliver nods and heads off to find him. Mum wraps an arm around me and gives me a squeeze. I'm proud of you, she tells me. You're getting very good at ignoring all the silly remarks. Ah, well, I learned from the best, I reply. I don't know how you put up with them. I can't imagine Oliver being like this, but I'm not sure I would put up with him if he were. Mum just shrugs. I'll always keep the peace for your grand's sake, and I know you would do the same with Oliver. Not that I can imagine it either. You're both so mature. Ah, mature, but not popping out babies on the regular, I joke. Well, I can't imagine it's easy when your boyfriend has been in LA for 6 weeks, she replies. Is he on his way? Yeah, I had a message from him. He said he needed a shower before he came, but he's bringing the game with him. That's good, she replies. I don't know how I wound up being responsible for the entertainment today. I suppose it's because, in spite of everything, I do still try with them, even if they don't make it easy. Look at when Flora got married back in 2020, and she wound up with no one to put her party favours together. It was me who stepped forward to do them, even though Flora had invited my ex-boyfriend to her wedding and sat him at my table. Flora asked if we would take care of the entertainment for today, so I came up with an idea, Oliver found a place that could make it, and Millsy is going to be bringing it. I glance at my watch. I thought he would have been here by now. I suppose we should mingle, Mum says. Come on, let's grab a blue cupcake. Or a blue egg mayo sandwich, I say with a laugh. Yes, even a large chunk of the buffet is blue. I imagine if anyone arrived in so much as a pink outfit, they would be told to leave or asked to change. I'm lucky I'm allowed in, given that my long blonde locks have a very subtle rose gold toner through them, but I would never be let off the hook for attending so easily. Otherwise, I would have come dressed as Barbie if it saw me turned away at the door. Over at the buffet table, we happen upon Uncle Paddy, Mary's husband, and Emma, one of Flora's friends. Uncle Paddy is a small, round man with a commanding physical presence that matches his in-your-face personality. His bald head gleams under the hall lights, giving him a polished, almost comical appearance, and he wears the kind of glasses that make him look like he needs his hard drive checked. Not that he could begin to know how to work anything with a hard drive in it. And back then I was a young lad with a brilliant mind, hidden away in the corners of a rough neighbourhood. I was a mathematical prodigy, solving complex equations left and right, but keeping it all a secret, he explains. Wow, really? Emma replies, her eyes wide. I had no idea you were so smart. One day, fate brought me face to face with a renowned professor. Paddy continues. He discovered my exceptional talent and wanted to help me unlock my full potential. We embarked on a journey of intellectual exploration and self-discovery and... Paddy's voice trails off as he notices us watching. Oh, Annie, Cara, hello, he says. Hi, I reply. The thing you need to know about Paddy is that he has never had an original idea or experience in his entire life, unless you count the idea he has where he tells people entirely fabricated anecdotes about himself that he has lifted entirely from movies and books. Honestly, he isn't even subtle with it. Take today's tall tale, which is so blatantly the plot of Good Will Hunting. Although I suppose it's more subtle than the time he tried to tell Millsy he was once part of a team trying to catch a great white shark off the coast of New England. Is it time for the It looks to me like the entertainment is already well underway. Millsy is on his way with it, I reply. I don't know, that no-good boyfriend of yours, Paddy jokes. Millsy is great, isn't he? Emma chimes in. I don't know Emma all that well, only through Flora, but I do know that Millsy is never short of female attention, which is just great for me. He is, I reply with a smile. Honestly, you two are just like the perfect couple, Emma says with a sigh. Everyone thinks so. You're so lucky. I smile again, softer this time. Oh, it makes us all sick, Paddy continues, still hopefully joking. I bet you've been going mad with him being in LA so much when you're usually joined at the hip. Well, we're adults. We're dealing with it, I point out. I'm relieved when I notice my phone making noises. I take it from my bag to see what it is. Oh, that's him now, I say. Right, I'd better go set the entertainment up. Don't keep us waiting, Paddy sings. We're all excited to see what you've come up with. And don't I know it? Although it doesn't feel like people are excited to see what I've come up with, it seems like they're excited to see if I fail. Well, I'm not going to give them the opportunity. I've gone all out for this one. I looked into games for baby showers, and it seemed like one thing a lot of people played was a take on Pin the Tail on the Donkey, but with a baby and baby-type items like dummies and rattles and stuff. Oliver agreed to help too, so he found us a company that made custom games, and I found someone who made high-quality AI images, who used photos of both Sal and Vince as babies, and made us a sort of projection of what the new baby could look like, which we then sent to the custom game people. Honestly, it's going to be amazing, so unique, so special. I don't know how anyone is going to find fault with this, although Lord knows they'll try. I make my way towards the door to see if I can catch Millsy before he joins the party. Well, I haven't seen him for 6 weeks. But then I spot him. The doors swing open and he strolls through in what seems like movie-style slow motion. Time seems to slow down, and if this were a movie, a collective sigh would escape the lips of anyone lucky enough to witness his grand entrance. Tall, dark, and devastatingly handsome, Millsy has always commanded attention, and in a seemingly effortless manner, which just makes it all the more attractive. His well-groomed, tousled brown hair falls perfectly into place and blows lightly in the wind, which is probably something to do with the breeze coming in. But from here, it looks like there's a Hollywood-grade wind machine pointing at him. When I first met him, I always thought he reminded me of Jason Momoa, but these days, over 3 years later, he's maturing into a cross between Jason and a sort of Matthew McConaughey type, but peak Matthew McConaughey from his dreamy rom-com era, before the infamous reconnaissance of the 2010s. With his impossibly dark brown eyes and his deliciously deep dimples, Millsy is somehow only getting more attractive as the days go by. Seeing him in the flesh, after 6 weeks apart, feels like someone simultaneously slapping me across the face, punching me in the chest, and kicking me between the legs. He spots me and waves with his free hand. His other, thankfully, is holding a large cardboard envelope. Oh, thank goodness, he's brought the game. As he walks over to me, I feel my tongue swelling in my mouth. I don't know what to say. I feel like an awkward teenager again. But then Oliver spots him too and hurries over.
"Millsy, you got the game,"
Oliver says, as the two of them arrive in front of me at the same time.
"Phew, I think Auntie Mary and Flora were gunning for Cara over it." "It's right here, mate,"
Millsy reassures him.
"Although I haven't checked it, if you want to do the honours."
Millsy hands the envelope to Oliver and then turns to me.
"Hi,"
he says simply, flashing me that trademark grin of his. "Hi," I reply, smiling back, my cheeks warming for the occasion.
Have you... guys,"
Oliver interrupts us, talking over one another.
"is this what you were after?"
Oliver is holding the large board to his chest. As we both go to look at it, he holds it away from his body just enough for us to see it. "Fuck," I blurt. "Fuck, fuck, fuck."
"Wow,"
Millsy adds.
Wow. That's not what you asked for."
"No, unbelievably, that's not what I asked for," I reply. "Oh my God, Mary is going to kill me. She's going to actually murder me right here in front of everyone just weeks before Christmas."
"I thought it sounded odd," Oliver says cautiously.
"What do you mean?" I reply. "What did you ask for?"
"Exactly what you told me," he insists. "You said you were sending a photo and you wanted a pin the tail on the donkey type thing."
"Yes, type thing," I reply. "Is that all you said? You didn't say you wanted a baby version."
"Of course I said I wanted a baby version," Oliver replies. "And..."
It never ceases to amaze me that for someone doing a PhD and being the smartest man I know, Oliver can be quite stupid sometimes. Although I suppose it's not all on him. Perhaps the person who made this monstrosity took the request a little too literally. As requested, there is a large board with the AI baby on there, and it really does look like a cross between baby Sal and Vince when he was that age. But this adorable crawling baby has had some adjustments. It has large donkey ears, big goofy donkey teeth, and a removable donkey tail for partygoers to take turns at trying to pin in the right place, as though there's a right place for a tail on a baby.
"No one can see this,"
Millsy says, taking it from Oliver, placing it back inside the envelope. "Shit," I say under my breath. "What are we going to do?" "Joe," Auntie Mary says brightly, "and here you are, better late than never. Is that the entertainment? Can I see?" "No," I insist quickly, reaching out to grab the envelope, holding it to my body, partially so Mary can't see it, but also as some kind of shield for myself.
"That's just instructions for the games," Millsy says. "The rules and what have you. Cara has commissioned a series of party games designed specifically for a baby shower."
Auntie Mary raises an eyebrow at me. "I see," she says. "Well, how thoughtful." She says this begrudgingly, almost suspiciously, but I suppose we are acting rather odd. Oliver is low-key breaking a sweat. "Shall we get set up then?" she suggests. "Now you're here,
Sure thing, he replies. Just let me hug my girlfriend, hello. It's been 6 weeks since I saw her last.
I allow my protective cardboard barrier to fall to the side as Millsy approaches me. He wraps an arm around me, placing it on the small of my back as he pulls me close. With his free hand, he rests it lightly on my face, as though he's pulling me in for a kiss. But then he whispers into my ear.
Go hide that in the car. I've got an idea.
I allow myself a premature sigh of relief. If there's one thing I can always count on Millsy for, and he can always count on me for, it's our ability to get one another out of scrapes. We have, of course, usually caused said scrapes, but it's the way we've always had each other's backs that got us together in the first place. When he releases me, he holds my hand for a moment, giving it a squeeze, but as I feel the plastic press against my skin, I realise it's the car keys he's giving me, so I can hide this hideous donkey monster baby designed to look like a before later taking it home to burn so that no one can ever see it. My God, imagine if Flora did see it, or Auntie Mary. Bloody hell, she would hit the ceiling, and the only thing stopping her murdering me when she came back down would be how tangled up in all the sparkly blue decorative shit she would be. I just know that they would all think I had done this on purpose to ruin the shower, as though that is a thing that real humans do in real life. I remember when I dyed my hair a deep dark shade of red, and they said I was doing it to ruin Flora's wedding. Unhinged. Venturing out without my coat, I feel the chill of the December air. Something about the cold weather makes me feel a little panicky. Our winters, while not that bad compared to other countries, somehow feel unescapable. The dark nights set in so quickly, the first daylight of the day feels as if it's never going to arrive, and the weather is far from a picture-perfect snow scene from a postcard. With the donkey baby safely locked away in Millsy's boot, I return to the party, just in time to see him placing an armful of toilet rolls down on the floor at Flora's feet. Oh, God. Toilet roll? Flora blurts at him in disbelief.
Yep,
Millsy says with a confident smile.
We have a series of fun games all planned out. I'll be the games master, so everyone else can have fun. So, everyone needs to get into 2 teams, and then, for the first game, you'll need to break off into pairs inside your team.
Everyone does as they are told. Millsy has a natural ability to put everyone at instant ease with his disarming smile that reaches his dreamy eyes, drawing people in like moths to a flame. He hands me a few loo rolls. What are you doing? I ask him quietly, for some reason smiling because it's been a while since we did this.
Making it up as I go along,
he whispers back.
Hand out these toilet rolls.
Our hands linger over a loo roll. So romantic. But then I do as I'm told, handing out the toilet rolls, which I'm guessing we're going to need to replace from a store cupboard somewhere, making sure each couple has one. My mum smiles at me as I hand one to her. Oliver told me what happened, she says with a sympathetic smile. Then she nods towards Millsy. You've got yourself a good one there. I look over at him as he starts the game. He really is something.
Okay, so the aim of the first round is for one person to use the toilet roll to make a nappy for their partner, he explains. You only have so much time, and the 3 teams who have made the... Is everyone ready?
I glance around the room, wondering if this might be considered too lowbrow for Auntie Mary, but everyone seems to be into it. Cheers echo around the hall, confirming that everyone who is playing is ready.
Go,
Millsy commands as he starts a timer on his phone. I wander over to him, to talk to him while everyone is distracted. Now that the crisis has been averted, it's back to reality. You promised you wouldn't be late, I utter, my teeth clenched together to try to contain the annoyed feeling that is growing inside me.
Well, when you're taking an exhausting 11-hour flight and then travelling from London to Leeds in the middle of the day, There are lots of things that can delay you, he points out, also quietly, but through a smile. His voice is tinged with the touch of amusement. He isn't going to let his audience see his face slip. But you must have arrived home hours ago, I point out. I know that I should let it go, at least until later, but I just can't seem to. My words are dripping with a mix of disappointment and accusation. I had some work to do, and I needed a shower, he says, although it sounds like he's making excuses. Okay, but I thought the whole point of you coming back was for time off work, I continue. For a fleeting moment, Millsy's smile wavers. His defences go down, exposing a glimpse of weariness, strain and frustration. But then, almost instantly, his smile returns and his protective shield goes back up. Cara, do we really have to do this here? Now? We haven't seen each other for 6 weeks. We're at a party. The weight of his unfinished sentence clouds the air between us. I chew my thumbnail as I think about what to say. He's right, we can't do this here. Probably best I go get a drink, calm down, and leave him to run the game in peace. When Millsy left for LA 6 weeks ago, we knew how long it was going to be before we saw one another again, but this past week in particular, I've been worrying, wondering what it would be like. I've been excited too, though, to see the man I love, and seeing him walk through that door, I've fancied him just as much as I ever have, if not more. Everyone thinks we're the perfect couple, and we probably were, once upon a time, but not anymore. We have a secret, one that we've been keeping from everyone who knows us, and it's a secret that we're going to have to keep for a while longer. I don't know how we're going to come clean or when exactly, but everyone is going to find out sooner or later that Millsy and that we're only pretending we're still together for the sake of those around us. But no one is going to find out today, though, or for the rest of this year if everything goes to plan, so I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Chapter 2. I wake up the same way I do every day. I stretch, rub my eyes, and then glance at the empty space next to me in bed. I run my hand over the sheets, feeling the emptiness of the space Millsy used to occupy. Even here, in my childhood bedroom at my parents' house, I still feel it. Well, when you're in a relationship for 3 years, you get used to sharing a bed with someone. And while occasional nights away for work don't disturb you at all, sometimes you even relish the idea of having all that space to stretch out for a night or two. There is something about knowing just how permanent that empty space is that hits you like a ton of bricks every morning, and it makes for one shitty start to the day. Millsy needed to be back in Leeds for some work thing early today, so it made sense for him to go back to Leeds last night, whereas I had already floated the idea of us staying at my parents' house, almost as a reflex, because that's exactly what we would usually do, so I decided to still do it anyway. To be honest, I'm kind of relieved. I hadn't expected it to be so awkward so quickly when I saw Millsy again after all these weeks of not really talking. Well, other than swapping a few messages to figure out how we make sure Christmas wasn't ruined for both our families. So, staving off that inevitable uncomfortable first conversation where we sit down and make a full and final plan for the holidays is fine by me. I know I'll have to face it later today, but for now at least, I'm happy to maintain a blissful ignorance. Something about waking up in my childhood bedroom makes this all feel real, as though I'm slipping back to basics, regressing to my sad single girl form. Well, I say sad single because that is the way you're meant to feel, right? But in reality, I have nothing but happy memories triggered by this room. My bedroom is a quirky blend of the confusing mix of geeky and girly interests I had as a teenager. Every inch of the space reflects my personality. Soft pink painted walls serve as the backdrop, but then they are layered with posters and stickers of retro video games and pictures of planets and stars. A large old wooden desk dominates one wall, its surface still cluttered with an assortment of puzzles, brain teasers, and board games. Rubik's cubes, jigsaws, dumb little things from Christmas crackers, my old electronic lights out game that I'm delighted to say still works. Anything I could problem solve, anything I could get myself lost in. I've always needed answers to questions and solutions to problems, and when I did, and get low-key obsessed. I've managed to turn it into a career, designing escape rooms, so I suppose it's only fitting that I'm turning my own breakup into some kind of problem-solving game, or one hell of an extreme escape room. A large pinboard still hangs proudly above the desk, with a collage of faded disposable camera photographs still up there, hanging on by some seriously ancient blue tack. I can see my childhood friends smiling over at me from the photos, so I smile back, even though we're not really friends anymore. I never saw it becoming an issue when they all chose to throw their efforts into getting married and starting families, whereas I was more motivated by the idea of starting my career and seeing where I could get with that first. I don't know why they decided that the route I was taking was leading me too far away from them to still be friends, but they made the invisible walls of their mummy club impenetrable if you were missing that one vital part of the dress code, that one must-have accessory, a baby. Still, I'm sure they're all happy now, and I am. Well, I was, until my breakup at least, but work is going well, so focusing on my career was definitely a good call for me. I pull myself out of bed and walk across the purple carpet over to the window, where I glance out over my parents' perfectly picturesque views. My mum and dad's large detached house is nestled amidst the rolling green hills of Haworth. The Worth Valley steam train line actually passes the bottom of the back garden, which made growing up feel a little bit like I was starring in my own modern-day take on The Railway Children. It's so beautiful here, like living in a postcard, one wishing you were here in rural paradise. It's funny how growing up somewhere so seemingly remote made me crave the idea of the hustle and bustle of the big city, which is why I couldn't wait to escape to Leeds in my 20s. It's funnier still that now, with my impending breakup with Millsy, I'm going to have to give up living in the flat we share, but he owns, in the city, and potentially move back here while I find somewhere new. I suppose I could live anywhere I wanted. I'm just not sure where that is anymore. What I have, or had anyway, was what I wanted. I really don't want to give it all up. I slip on my trusty dressing gown, the one with the decade-old dream matte mousse foundation stains from when I used to absolutely cake myself in it as a teenager, and make my way downstairs. The delicious smell of my mum's cooking growing stronger with every step that I take. I know that were I to tell my mum about my breakup, she would be an absolute dream, a whirlwind of support. I don't think there is anything, and I just know that my breakup would have one hell of a menu. But that's almost the reason I'm not telling her, why we're not telling anyone. The problem is that Millsy and I had no idea we were going to break up until we did. But obviously no one goes into relationships thinking about when it will end. So naturally, when talk of Christmas came up, and someone suggested we all have our first big family Christmas together, my family and Millsy's family, at Millsy's grandma's big beautiful house on the side of a loch in Scotland, everyone was so excited for it. Plans were made, food was ordered way in advance, and to be honest, even when Millsy and I did break up, it felt like there was an element of bluff calling, of the stress from both our jobs putting strain on our relationship. I don't think either of us thought this breakup would actually take. And now here we are, just a few weeks before Christmas, with nothing to do but go with it. Well, not unless we're willing to ruin Christmas for everyone by either having to cancel it or making everyone feel really uncomfortable with our breakup hanging over the day like an unwanted, uninvited guest. The only real option is to fake it. It's not easy, though, living a lie, and I've been doing it alone so far, which, to be honest, is probably easier because I only need to get my story straight with myself. It's probably hardest in situations like I'm about to walk into now, when it's just my parents and Oliver, the people who know me best,
who are the ones who can usually read me like a book. I feel the warmth the second I arrive in the kitchen, not just from all the cooking or the heating that my mum likes to keep on at full whack, but from my happy family, who are all tucking into one hell of a breakfast spread. "Here she is," Mum says with a smile. "I kept plenty of food back for you in case you fancied a lie-in, but you've timed it perfectly. Come on, sit down, grab a plate." I don't need telling twice. Annie Brooks, my mum, is like a human ray of sunshine. She is a petite lady, just about making it over the 5-foot mark if she stands on her tiptoes, proving that sometimes great things really do come in small packages. She has sleek chestnut brown hair, a warm smile, and twinkling eyes, giving her this magical ability to make everyone feel instantly at ease. Everyone but my Auntie Mary, of course, who seems to take all my mum's wonderful qualities as somehow personally offensive to her. I often wonder if perhaps, given that it was always just her and my mum growing up, Mary viewed my mum as this annoying benchmark, someone she felt like she needed to live up to, but who she could. Oliver and I are similar, in that it's just the two of us, but we've never felt like we needed to compete with one another. I don't resent how smart he is, I just make sure I'm always on his team when we do quizzes. But with Auntie Mary, everything my mum does offends her. Even silly things like mum dyeing her grey away, whereas Auntie Mary has a full head of grey curls, so she constantly berates my mum for her vanity. Mary could dye her hair, but she doesn't want to. But you better believe she's going to be inexplicably mad at everyone who does. I sit down next to Oliver, reminding myself how lucky I am to have a sibling I have such a good relationship with. "Good morning, Dr. Brooks," I playfully tease him.
I'm not quite a doctor, not yet," he reminds me. "I could still mess it up." "You're not going to mess it up,"
my dad insists, unwilling to even joke about such a thing. Oliver raises his eyebrows and shovels a large piece of pancake into his mouth, lest he say another word. I genuinely believe he hasn't actually ruled out bumbling the PhD he's been working on for years, but there's no way he isn't going to smash it. Oliver, who stands tall at around 6'1", cuts a striking yet unassuming figure. His general vibe combines intellectual wit with understated confidence, but he's definitely one to use his words wisely, and even he knows a debate with Auntie Mary will never be worth his breath, especially when she's being that way out, a phrase my mum and Gran have always used to describe her fun little moods. He wears his chestnut hair neatly blown back, which, coupled with his round-rimmed glasses, somehow gives away the fact that he is an academic. He's growing a bit of a beard, or trying to at least. He'll be the first one to tell you he can't seem to get beyond the stubble stage. It suits him, though, adding a touch of maturity and sophistication to his otherwise youthful appearance. The interesting thing about Oliver is that he somehow boasts confidence while lacking self-confidence, meaning he can talk to a room full of people, just not about himself.
"How's your business thing going?"
my dad asks me from over his newspaper. Ted Brooks personifies the quintessential Yorkshire dad, as if he stepped right out of an episode of Emmerdale, or what someone like me, who hasn't ever watched an episode of Emmerdale, would imagine at least. With his unwavering strength and stoic silence, he's your classic Yorkshireman, only breaking said silence to deliver straight-talking statements that cut through any pretense or seriously daddy one-liners. He's a master of frugality, for himself and those around him, unless it involves splurging on prime cuts of meat or specialty pints of beer. Unsurprisingly, Oliver gets his height from our dad, who is way over 6 foot, but he's a friendly giant, a teddy bear disguised as a mountain, and a joy to be around. The only thing he loves more than his family is cracking terrible jokes, and while I may not have inherited his height, at 5'7", I stand somewhere in the middle between my tiny mum and my towering dad, he has most definitely passed his wit and sarcasm on to me. However, Being a 60-something Yorkshireman means that he doesn't always find modern versions of things all that easy to understand, like tech or women. And so my business thing, as he calls it, is really something he struggles with. My job, for the best part of my 20s, has been designing escape rooms for a popular company in Leeds. I would come up with the concepts for the rooms, the blueprints for them, and then the puzzles that would be inside them. However, about a year ago, I had this big idea, a way to take escape rooms outside, and so I decided to quit my job and go it alone. I found someone to work with on the techie side of things, and finally, I think we're getting somewhere. I'm meeting Charlie, my tech guy, in Leeds later today to hopefully iron out the last of the kinks. I'm nervously excited to try the final version. Don't call it a business thing, Mum ticks my dad off. It's an AI? AR, I correct her with a smile. It's an augmented reality escape room that you can play in the city centre with nothing but your phone. Think of it like a treasure hunt with clues that takes you around the city's landmarks.
So what? You're going to leave stuff lying around in the city?
Dad replies. No, it's all in an app, I explain. So you'll follow a clue to where you think the right place is, then when you get there, you'll point your phone at it, and while you're looking at it through your phone, you'll see things on your screen that look like they're right there in front of you. Dad looks none the wiser.
It uses GPS.
Oliver joins in.
Like your sat-nav. So when you arrive at the right location, your phone will show you things in the right place, and if you're right, you'll get the next clue. Oh, right, okay,
Dad says. He thinks for a moment.
Why?
I snort, causing the sip of tea I just took to almost shoot out of my nose. For fun, Dad, I say simply. All of this is for fun. Your dad thinks, but Mum teases.
You've never complained about my sausage before,
he replies to her, deadpan. Oliver and I laugh. I can never quite tell if they're always intentional jokes or if Dad just often says the wrong thing, but that just makes it all the funnier. Anyway, it's a shame Millsy couldn't join us for breakfast, Mum says, changing the subject. We've missed him. When do you think we'll see you both next? We need to make the most of him before he jets back off to shoot his movie. My heart jumps into my mouth. I don't know how to answer that. If nothing were wrong, then we would probably be here tonight for dinner because Millsy is as obsessed with my mum's cooking as I am. But the thought of having to fake it any more than is absolutely necessary terrifies me. It's going to be exhausting doing the minimum. Well, I've got work today, I say, and we're going to a wedding the day after. Don't forget, we're planning family Christmas on the 6th, Mum reminds me. I pull a face. I know, but I find it all easier when you're here, she says. Then I'll be here, I reply. What could be better than sitting down with Mary and Flora to try to come up with a plan everyone is happy with?
You could repeat Mary's words back to her and she wouldn't be happy with them, Dad jokes. You could have some fun with that, Oliver chimes in with a cheeky smile. Any time you don't like her ideas, just agree with them and watch her change her mind.
I laugh, but that might actually work. Well, I'd better get a move on, I say as I load my plate up with round 2, after this, of course. But I need to try to catch Millsy before I head out to work. But I can let you know when we can make it over. Do, Mum replies, otherwise it's going to be family Christmas. Oh, actually, we've got Sal's first birthday before that. Yay, a 1-year-old's birthday party, I say sarcastically. Can't wait. It's strange, but when I was with Millsy, I never used to dread dumb family events. Well, when you have an ally, someone by your side to have a laugh with, there is no wedding, birthday, or gender reveal party you can't endure. Everything was always so much fun with Millsy, And you could guarantee we would get into scrapes like Donkey Baby Gate last night, but we would always have a laugh as we teamed together to put things right. With one last season of events to attend together, I can't help but think about future events, about future life, really, and what it's going to look like without him. And it really, really doesn't look great. Chapter 3. I step out of Leeds station, my senses immediately overwhelmed, as I try to merge with the bustling crowd of shoppers and busy workers hurrying about during their lunch break. Leeds is always busy. It's a beautiful, vibrant city that seems to grow and grow by the day. I used to live in the City Heights building before Millsy and I became flatmates, which sits right between Northern Ballet and Leeds Playhouse, with views stretching right across the city centre. There are plenty of iconic places to spot in the Leeds skyline, both the Victoria Gate and